And now we are on to episode 2 of season 2, which is entitled The Host. Okay, Brian, let's give it an update. Is this one of the most famous episodes ever?
It is, yeah. It's I think it's an acquired taste as far. There are certain X-Files episodes that really go into the icky factor, and if you're into that stuff, if you're into kind of like, I don't know, David Cronenberg body horror type stuff, then this will be one of the most memorable ones for you, in a good way. And if that's not your kind of thing, then this will be one of the most memorable episodes for you, but not in a good way. So, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Lots to talk about here in this one, so let's just get stuck straight into The Host. So it opens up with the Atlantic Ocean, and there's a boat floating. Of course it's floating. It's in the sea. It wouldn't be doing well if it wasn't floating. It's our sort of Russian trawler, and the toilet is overflowing, and a sweaty man tells a young chap to remove the blockage, and they have a little tete-a-tete.
Poor Dimitri. The most stereotypically Russian name ever, Dimitri.
Absolutely. I was looking, but I didn't see anybody drinking vodka neat, which is a shame. They really missed the boat there.
I like how when the guy asks why he has to do it, the guy's reply is simply that you are young and it is smelly work.
So he opens this panel to get into where it's flooded, and as he tries to clear the blockage, he's pulled in. The other two guys try to hold him back, but eventually he is dragged into the water. And boom, we are into a Monster of the Week episode. My favourite.
Yeah, I like actually the guy who sent him on that job. We see his face once Dimitri gets pulled under, and he does look pretty guilt-stricken. So it's
concerned.
Yeah, it's nice to see that he's not a completely cold-hearted SOB, but actually he does seem quite racked with guilt for sending him in there.
Yeah, it does. I like this opening. You're never quite sure how it's going to go from here, because it's a middle of the Atlantic Ocean. And, well, as we're about to find out, a body's about to wash up in the sewers of New York, New Jersey, which is pretty outstanding. So we move straight into the motel, back to sad Mulder.
Wiretap Mulder.
Yes, still doing his surveillance job, when someone just turns up out the blue yet again, saying they're releasing him from it, and he has got a new assignment. He is being sent to New Jersey for a case, and he's been sent by Skinner.
Yeah, much to Mulder's surprise.
Yes, he's back in the game, or so he thinks. He's all excited. He goes to Newark. He arrives at the crime scene, has a little chit chat with the officer in charge there, and is given a pair of wellies.
And this is where he thinks Skinner simply hates me. Yes. So it's like, a job's come up, a murder case down in the sewers. Who can I send? Yeah. Mulder's doing some wiretap work.
And from this moment, I mean, Mulder goes down into the sewer. The body's lying there decomposing, and he asks for it to be sent to the FBI, care of Assistant Director Skinner. He couldn't be less interested. He does all the things that Mulder doesn't do. He assumes things about the death. He writes it off as, I think it's a turf war or a drug war or something like that. He doesn't even inspect the body, doesn't look twice at it. He is annoyed, pissed off.
Yeah. It just completely goes against what we've seen Mulder be like. Understandably so. It's not like a betrayal of his character, because we know where he is in his life at the minute. But when you compare, the Mulder who was on fire for the search for the truth, he just doesn't care. He just does not want to be here.
Yeah, and then we jump to a terrific scene where Mulder is pacing up and down outside Skinner's office. The secretary comes out. Mulder demands to be seen, and just then the door opens and the secretary says, Agent Mulder is demanding to be seen, and Mulder just goes off on a rant.
Yeah, absolute rant.
An absolute rant, at which point Skinner invites him in to see the sort of lay of the land and to see that Skinner is in the middle of a meeting, and it's just one of those, crap.
It's like, if he wasn't making any friends before,
yeah,
he certainly isn't going to after this little moment. In front of like probably Skinner's superiors. I mean, we don't really know who these people are, but they're certainly probably on Skinner's level at the very least. So,
but
not
Skinner
a bunch of people.
Doesn't let him away with it either. He kind of rubs it in. Would you like to tell these strangers why you don't think you should be in this case? You know, and then tells him that he'll be expecting a full field report on his current case.
Yeah.
So again, like you're kind of like, what is Skinner's deal? You know, what exactly is he doing? Is he trying to punish Mulder? Is he trying to help him? What is he doing?
I think he just does not suffer fools gladly, and at this stage, he doesn't know Mulder. He doesn't know how honest Mulder is, and how he just doesn't know him. And it's the same with Cancer Man. You know, he knows Cancer Man a little bit more, and he doesn't like him. He's already established that he doesn't like him, and I think if nothing else, if you gloss over that stuff, you could look at Skinner in these moments and think, I don't like this guy, he's a prick. But actually, he's just someone who's good at his job, and he doesn't suffer fools gladly, and Mulder kind of has to prove himself.
Yeah. So from there we go to Mulder and Scully meeting on a bench at night, and Scully's obviously heard about the incident with Skinner. It seems to have been office gossip already. And then Mulder hits out with he's thinking about leaving.
Yeah.
You know, he's kind of defeated.
Quitting the FBI.
Yeah. To become an alien hunter. and Scully tries to sort of wind him round and tells him it's just a downbeat moment in his life, things that we've all had. And she says that she will do the autopsy for him. And he's just like, you're just doing that because... Blah, blah, blah. It's a whole sad sack routine, to be fair. I don't like this version of Mulder.
He's wallowing, isn't he? He's really wallowing.
Definitely wallowing. So we get to the autopsy, and the body is all messed up. It's kind of just horrible, waxy looking type of thing. Yeah.
And this is like, what, 10 years before CSI?
Yep.
So this was pretty full on back then. You didn't really see this stuff on TV. I remember they showed a body in, was it Prime Suspect, which is probably around this time. I think it may have been a year earlier, but it wasn't anything to this degree. It was like your typical kind of pasty body, lanky hair, kind of pale eyes, but nothing of like this grim nature.
Yeah, it's horrible looking, and it looks very realistic. I know at 10, the special effects are truly fantastic in this scene. And then we get to the even more disgusting part as she starts to cut into the body, and a little something pops out to say hello.
Kiwi!
A little worm. Which is really kind of freaky, to be fair. And she especially as it cuts just as she's starting to yank it out.
Yeah.
With a pair of tweezers. Yeah. Even now, they're just like, yuck. So then we've got two sewage workers going into the sewers, and wouldn't you believe it, one's going to have to go up and get something and leave the other one down here, standing in like a few feet of water.
Yeah.
And then he gets attacked, this guy. And something happened that I wasn't expecting. The guy came back down and helped his friend and managed to pull him out of the water.
Yeah.
You know, I just, for some reason, I was like, I didn't think that was going to happen, but it did. There's a strange sort of bite mark on his back.
You don't expect this guy to survive.
No.
I mean, ultimately he doesn't. But like in this moment, you don't expect him to survive. You just think he's going to become another body.
As soon as his friend says, "Oh, I'll go up and get the material we need," you're dead. Not seeing you again until you're a slab on the slab of the body. It really did sort of break my perception of what was going to happen there. And then we kind of go to the next scene where a doctor is examining the man who was bitten, and Mulder arrives to investigate. And
do you recognise the doctor?
No.
She, the actress, is the one who played the wife of the pilot who went crazy in Deep Throat back in the first season. So yeah, we're into season 2 now, so we're going to start to see a repetition of the actor, the acting pool. They use the same extras and the same group of actors constantly. So this is where it starts.
Okay, I'll try and keep an eye out for that. But again, so we see Mulder coming in to investigate here, and again he's kind of dismissive and not really interested until he hears about the bite, and he examines it himself. And Scully calls Mulder about a parasite she found on the body, and Mulder receives another call saying, "You have a friend at the FBI."
Stephen Williams, any Friday the 13th, part 9 was it? Jason Goes to Hell. Oh yes, Stephen Williams.
And again, I'm just like, another one, another friend. Just like, seems like they're all coming out of the woodwork now.
Yeah, this guy's going to be very different to Deep Throat. I'll say that much.
All right, okay. Which again, I was not expecting Deep Throat to be dead.
Right. Okay. You thought they'd bring him back, did you?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Even now, I'm still expecting him to come back at some point.
Nope, he's dead.
I don't know why.
You're going to get a few flashbacks, a few dream sequences in which they manage to pop him back, but nope, he's dead.
Okay. So we go back to Quantico. Mulder goes to see Scully, and the parasite is a fluke worm. And Mulder jokes about sushi and sirloin. And it's again, we're starting to see him come back to the old Mulder that we liked.
Yeah. It's literally like we've had no humour from him these past 2 episodes, and the moment they're onto something that could just be an X-File, that little twinkle in his eye comes back, and the kind of humorous lines of dialogue just can't help but creep out of his mouth.
It's welcome. Very much looking forward to this kind of Mulder to appear back.
Absolutely.
So Mulder asks how the fluke worm feeds, and shows Scully a picture, and it feels just like old times with Scully. She almost wants to shoot him down, but she lets him have it. Totally could be a fluke worm. And then Mulder does something a little bit out of character again, where he kind of asks her not to go to bat for him, not to talk to anybody about their conversations and that, and kind of mentions the phone call, and that's when Scully's like, I would never betray your confidence, and you feel like that's something that Mulder would know, or would hopefully believe and would trust in that.
Yeah, but I don't think that's I don't think that discounts that in any way. I think, he could probably still believe that Scully might be trying to put in some good words for him to people that count. So, yeah.
So, then we go to another fantastic scene. We've got the bite victim going for a shower, but after the most disgusting teeth brushing I think I've ever seen in a movie.
Oh man, the way all that, the way it just oozes out of his mouth with all that blood. It does make me want to vomit.
Yeah. And he spits up the worm in the shower. It comes out and it wriggles down the drain.
Yeah, and I just wrote in my notes in capital letters, bloody disgusting.
Well, I wrote mine's bloody awesome.
And therein lies the difference between us. You see, you are the David Cronenberg body horror type, I guess, whereas I'm not so much. I can go with a bit of The Fly, but for the most part, not so much.
Oh yeah, I like this. So then we have Mulder visiting a sewage plant, and he has a tour with a worker who's kind of filling the information. To be honest, I didn't take much notice of this guy because I thought he's going to be here for a minute and we're never going to see him again.
Really? I liked this guy.
I liked him, but I thought he's going to be in and then right back out again. One scene and done.
Oh, no, because he has a nice line when he says 560,000 people a day visit my office on the porcelain telephone.
Even Mulder has a little chuckle at that one.
Yeah. As soon as he mentioned that line, I was like, oh, I hope this dude is here to stay, because that was a corker. Yeah, had me in stitches.
And it cuts to see outside, and there's a worker having a cigarette when he notices something in the water. And he kind of runs away. So Mulder's talking to this guy. They get a phone call saying that something or other's happened, and they run down the stairs to this pipe.
Yeah, because the guy that saw it has flushed the pipes, and then the fluke man has basically got stuck in one of these pipes.
Yes, and you get a really good look at it in here, and I was like, wow, they're showing you early. You know, usually they save these kind of images, and then as this scene finishes, I thought it's going to get away. It'll bout the pipe somehow, and then we won't see it again. We'll just see it in glimpses, which obviously does not happen at all.
Yeah, they really go to town on this. The makeup job on this is fantastic. It's better than a lot of movie monsters that I've seen.
It is terrific. It's unique. It is freaky. Scary,
it's disgusting. Absolutely disgusting.
Yes, and terrific. Absolutely terrific. So we have Scully and Mulder look at the fluke man as they have it like locked away in a room. I never thought it was going to go to that, Brian. Like having the thing captured.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen.
No.
You know, and especially something that's as freaky looking as that, you can't write it off as going like, oh, somebody's been living in the wild for 2 days. You know,
and Scully gets to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody gets to see it at some point.
Yeah.
It's just, so again, like, it feels like a typical monster episode like we've seen before, and then they just completely break with all conventions and capture it, 15-20 minutes into the episode. And you're like, what the heck's going to happen next? They've got it.
Now, I did mention at the tail end of last episode that because I think he deserves another mention, because props to the guy for wearing this makeup, because it was a really heavy makeup job, and I can't imagine it'd be comfortable under there. But Darren Morgan is the man who is underneath that makeup, and he will rear his head again later on in the season in another episode, not as this character but as a more human character. But he's also a writer on the show. He becomes a writer on the show. His first episode will be in this season, and he's known for these comedy episodes. Now, that may sound a little bit, that may make you think, oh, hang on, comedy episodes, what do you mean? But have no fear, because they are absolutely brilliant. Whenever this guy's name appears on a writer's credit, it's time to get excited. But he's also the brother of Glenn Morgan, who is one of the regular writers on the show as well. So yeah, he's got his fingers in a lot of pies when it comes to this show.
Yeah, one thing we've kind of glossed over, and that is when Scully's doing her old enhance on the autopsy pictures of the dead Russian. And somebody sticks a magazine under our doorway. One of these, you know, fish people
tabloid
abducted my
things.
Baby magazines.
Yeah. The Tattler.
Yes, exactly. And that's when she puts 2 and 2 together and figures out this is a Russian guy. And she tells...
Sorry, it's taken me back to Conduit. You remember remember when Mulder uses the evidence of two tabloid magazines?
Jersey Devil episode.
Jersey Devil?
Yeah, is it not a Jersey Devil episode?
No, it's Conduit, isn't it? Because it's when he gets involved in the case because of I don't know. Is it Jersey? No, I'm sure it's Conduit. Because isn't it to do with it's the woman who's been abducted? Her mother was in a tabloid thing.
Exactly, that's
and
exactly
that's
what
what.
it
Yeah,
is, yes.
yeah.
Yes.
But yeah.
Oh. Right, so where were we? We just sidetracked there. Back into the episode.
So Scully's writing a report when someone sticks a magazine under the door.
Yes.
She reads the article about a Russian boat that found a monster on board.
Yeah.
And then Mulder calls, and for some reason I've got in quotation marks, runt of the litter.
Right.
Sometimes when I'm making my notes, I really do wish I'd...
Yes, it's a joke that Mulder makes over the phone that about the one that Scully's got being the runt of the liver.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
So they go and Scully gets to see this thing, and then she tells Mulder where she found the information because somebody put the magazine under her doorway. So then we jump to another scene where Skinner is reading the report and just puts his head up and goes, "Yep, everything looks in order." He's just not expecting it.
Yeah.
And then they kind of argue about the rights of the Flukeman.
Yeah.
And Mulder learns that the sewer worker did indeed die.
I like how Mulder questions Skinner's reaction, and Skinner just uses this kind of throwaway line where he says, "I had my reaction this morning." So it's like this place he's gotten to now where he seems calm, collected, just dealing with the like it's a perfectly fine report. You get the sense that earlier this morning when he was reading this thing, he was probably going off his tits about it. But
but then most of these reports they can sweep under the carpet because there's no corroborating evidence. They actually have this thing.
Yeah.
So as wacky as it may sound, they can't deny it.
Yeah.
And then so we have the comment that Mulder says that this should have been an X-file. And Skinner says, "Yeah, this should have been an X-file."
Yeah.
And we all take orders from someone.
Yeah.
Which is
you could read as much as you want into that line.
Yeah. I read it as in Skinner thinks that there are certain cases it should be X-Files and that he believes that there should be a department looking into that.
Yeah.
I think that's what I take from it anyway.
Yeah. That's what I take from it. Yeah.
But I think now we're into the second episode, I think he has an issue with the way Mulder handles himself. You know, the way he's abrasive nature. He's always looking for a fight because he's always fighting with Skinner. Even when Skinner's like, "Yeah, everything's fine," he starts to argue with him. He's not used to having a boss who's not wanting to fight with him.
Yeah.
So you kind of see this dynamic that's going. So I don't think Skinner has any problems with his work. It's all attitude problems, I believe. Well,
I think it's that Skinner cares. I mean, it's like you look at some of the other kind of men in suits that Mulder's had to answer to in the past. I think of Blevins back in the early episodes of the season. These are people who just don't care about Mulder. So it's very easy for them to just let him talk, shout, and then go, "Right, you finished. See ya. Bye. Get out of my office." Whereas I feel like Skinner kind of cares about what happens to Mulder. He just wants him to stop acting the way he is. Because he knows that if he does stop acting the way that he is, it'll be easier for him to get him back to where he should be. I mean, that's me reading an awful lot into that. I don't know if that's what you pick up there. I pick that up, obviously. Yeah, I mean, obviously I know where the series is going, so it could possibly be easier for me to read that into it. But
from there we go to the monster being transported by the marshals. It gets wheeled out in a gurney, strapped down, which again is just such a strange image to see this thing strapped to a bed.
Bizarrely makes me think of Michael Myers in Halloween 4 when he's being transferred via an ambulance and then escapes. But
Yeah.
You're struggling to remember that one, aren't you?
No, I'm thinking the H2O as well. Does that as well? Is it not?
Yeah, yes, and also in Rob Zombie's Halloween 2.
Oh,
so yeah, it's a common occurrence.
Yeah,
for
Michael
Mr.
Myers got
Myers.
previous for this.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's getting transported. It's got about 6 marshals loading this thing into it, and then only one leaves with it, which makes perfect sense. He's driving along, looks in the back and sees that the thing's not in the gurney. Now, being that that's fully encaged at the back and locked and there's nowhere the thing can get to, he continues to his destination and makes sure that it gets locked up safely. Absolutely not. He pulls over at the side of a deserted road and climbs into the back.
Uh-huh.
And you're like, oh, come on, man.
Yeah. What a dumbass.
Yeah. But it's part of the kind of sort of horror tropes, there's always one idiot.
I do have to ask, where the hell was that flukeman hiding?
Yeah.
I know he's a slippery one. I know he can fit down pipes and things. But where on earth was he hiding? It stretches it a little bit for me. I don't particularly buy this scene, but hey ho, whatever. Like you say, horror trope.
Yeah. And then we get a pull back to see the sign of Lake Betty, or Camp Crystal Betty, whatever you want to call it. And then there's this slippery trail of ooze that leads to the porta toilets. And then we zoom into one to see the fluke man sitting in a pile of shit. It wasn't just me that was thinking that, Brian.
Yeah.
So we've got Lake Betty, and the portable toilet cleaner turns up with his poo hoover and begins to soak it all up. And of course it struggles a little bit. It's as if there's a big blockage in it, but that seems to work itself out okay.
But seriously though, what is this guy doing? It's like, does he honestly think there's a turd that big that he's sucking up? It's like, what could he possibly think is down there that could be that big that blocks his tube?
No, it wasn't that. It's the fact that he's got a cigarette hanging out his mouth now. Like, the build-up of methane gas has got to be at an astronomical level. He's going to blow himself up with shit.
Oh man, it's crazy. It's like he's looking at that thing, he can feel it, he can hear it, and he's thinking, he doesn't strike him as just a little odd that a turd the size of a man is going up that thing. I'd be a little bit concerned.
Well, I mean, we could, if we really wanted to make an excuse for him, we could say that possibly creatures get into the toilet and die or something. Possums or whatever. But yeah, she's still on the list. So we've got the crime scene of the stupid marshal. And Mulder arrives just as the portable toilet cleaning van passes by.
Yeah, I wrote what you just said, but I put coincidentally. This is the weakest part of the episode for me, because I didn't like the thing in the ambulance, because it just, the fact that he was hidden completely outside to me was ridiculous. This sewer worker, this portable loo worker, I should say, just clearly seems to just not care, because like I said, I'd be really concerned at the size of that object going up the pipe. And then we get this, in which by pure coincidence Mulder sees that truck going by, then overhears a line of dialogue by this copper, puts two and two together and realises that Fluke Man might be in the Portaloo and therefore might be in the truck that has now just picked up the Portaloo crap. It's all very convenient, coincidental, and that basically means it's quite contrived.
I thought you were going to pull a joke out your hat there, Brian, say it's all a load of shit.
I think you're just using any opportunity you can get during this episode to use the word.
Yeah, I definitely have a potty mouth.
Yes, you do.
So then, well, as Mulder's at the side of the road, he gets a phone call. And do you have this quote? I didn't take a note of it. That Deep Throat 2 gives him.
Which is that, sorry?
Success is a must or something round about those kind of words.
Oh, so a success is an imperative.
Yes.
Yeah. He says that, success in this case is imperative.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm calling this guy Deep Throat 2 just now, until we get a better name.
Yeah. X. We refer to, if you want to know what we refer to him as, it's X.
Oh, yeah. That's not as fun. Deep Throat 2. Yeah. Or Deep Throat here.
Oh, man. Deep Throater.
So we go to
deep throat.
Yeah, double deep throat.
Double deep throat.
Okay, it's definitely Nick Sears, this one, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, speaking of such, we go to the Sewage Centre, and we get some details about the plant, just random facts. And the guy says, if it's here, it's trapped here. And Mulder just kind of monitors the water, as does a lot of people, to be fair.
Yeah.
You know, there's just a lot of people, which I wasn't expecting, but I don't know, good extra budget or something.
Yeah, I was just going to say they really eked out the budget for the extras that day.
So Scully calls him. The fluke is looking for hosts for its larvae. And then they think they know where it is. Yeah?
Yeah. So she says that the worms found in the bodies are looking for hosts so that Fluke Man can multiply.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, I'm not entirely sure what is going to happen. Whether the fluke worms find hosts, then grow inside them into something very much like the Fluke Man, or whether the stage at which we saw that guy cough one up is the stage at which that will then mate with the Fluke Man, in which case that's going to be a very weird mating process. It's not very well explained.
No, there's a comment said earlier on by Scully who says that, I can't paraphrase him, but it goes through a few hosts to evolve. It didn't really make much sense, but I don't think it's really supposed to. Kind of get the ickiness of it, and that's all we really need.
We do, but I do feel like if you're going to put some kind of explanation out there, then it should be thorough enough for us to grasp what's going on. But from what I gather, yeah, because the Fluke Man has attacked these people, which leaves a fluke worm inside the person.
Yeah.
And then the fluke worm comes. Does it come out of the person to then look for a host, or was the person the host?
Must be the person must have been the host, I imagine.
I don't know, because I get the sense that maybe the person is an incubation unit, and then it comes out, searches for a host. It's all very bizarre, and that to me is what I have trouble with with this episode. I just wish they'd have explained that a bit better, just made it a bit clearer as to what the evolution of this thing is.
Yeah, it's something that didn't really overly bother me. So we get Mulder and the sewage guy who go to a certain sewer area, and he tries to close a gate. Mulder monitors the water while this guy's pulling at a lever that's rusted shut, and then somehow manages to fall into the water. And then Mulder,
which you didn't see coming at all.
No.
Did you?
No, it was a banker, to be fair. What I didn't see coming was Mulder jumping in the water after him.
Oh, yeah.
Which you're like...
Grim. I tell you what, though, they go to town with the crap in that water.
Yeah.
Because when they come up out of that water, you see little bits of turd kind of running down their face. It does not look pretty, I gotta say.
And then, just when you think all was lost, the guy re-emerges from the water and points to the drain where the thing's starting to escape. Mulder goes over, releases the door, and chops it in two.
Yeah. Just before that, though, I don't know if... well, I noticed it. When the thing brushes past Mulder, the look on Mulder's face was an absolute picture.
No,
I
don't think I noticed it at all.
Right. It was just like... It was kind of a mix between shock and awe. And it was almost like that... that schoolboy enthusiasm, which we kind of got from him in season 1, suddenly just comes back to him in that moment, that he can't believe he's smack bang in the middle of, well, an X-file that has just brushed past him. So, but yeah, then he cuts it in half.
Yeah, which is a pretty cool scene as well. And then Mulder and Scully meet on the bench again. Mulder tells Scully about the phone call from X, as we're calling him. Scully tells him about the test results and the fluke. And then Scully says, nature didn't make this thing. We did. Chernobyl. Yeah.
Yeah, so again, it's like, it really is unclear. I don't know... I think they're saying... So she's saying that he is a product... He was a man, basically. Was he?
No,
or a fluke worm.
I got it was just like with all the radiation and metal and things like that, because the trawler was towing.
Yeah.
Metal, it just all that caused a fluke worm to mutate. I think that's what she's saying, or that's what I took from it anyway.
Yeah. The fact that we're having to discuss it in this way shows that it really is unclear. All the mythology around this creature, it's a great creature, it's a really good monster of the week, but the mythology around it, not particularly great, I must say.
And we get the final monster stingers, which is just par for the course, to be fair. Kind of zooms in the water as the fluke man appears, and that's probably the one that got out of the worker earlier on down the drains, I would imagine.
No.
No?
I'd imagine it's the one that was cut in half, to be honest.
Oh, I didn't. I took it as the one that had got away.
No, I just think it's... Because when you think about worms, some worms in nature, you cut them in half and they can survive, and they essentially grow into two worms, I think. But I just assumed it was a play on that, really, because... Yeah, I mean, so is that what you're thinking? You're thinking that those worms that the guys cough up then grow into something the size of that thing? Right, well, yeah, I mean, I didn't get that personally, because I really felt like... They used the same kind of model. The Darren Morgan, guy was underneath it. I just assumed it was the top half of that same worm guy who was still alive.
There you go, difference of opinion.
Okay.
Do you want to wrap this one up first, or shall I? Or?
Yeah, I'll wrap it up. Look, this is... For anyone who likes body horror, who likes disgusting stuff, there's definitely a lot here to enjoy. I like seeing Mulder and Scully together. I like seeing Mulder's va-va-voom come back halfway through the episode. There's a few supporting characters that pop up just for this episode that I like. Well, one in particular, like I say, that guy. Surprised that he survives the episode, like you say. I just... it's those inconsistencies in the mythology of this creature. If you're going to give us... I mean, go back to Squeeze, Eugene Victor Toombs. Okay, they botched it a bit in that second Toombs episode, but that first one, Squeeze, they gave us this really great monster of the week, but they also gave us really great mythology behind it. By the time you got to the end of the episode, you felt like you understood who this guy was, what the mechanics of him are, his story, so to speak. Whereas here, I come out of it essentially scratching my head, not really knowing where he comes from or how he's going to procreate, not knowing how these other worms work, what the chain of evolution is. Yeah, it's a bit too hazy for me. That being said, it is a very strong episode with regards to Monster of the Week. It's very memorable, and I think that's primarily down to this monster, how it looks, the makeup job, and yeah, something we didn't mention as well is the sewer set, because that was built.
Right, okay, I didn't know that.
You know, much of that was built, and I think it's a really, really impressive set.
Yeah, terrific.
So yeah, so props to the effects guys on that, the set design and whatnot. But yeah, it's still a very strong episode. I would give it a 4 out of 5. But I think if they'd have just made that mythology clearer, so that I could completely understand it, this probably would have been a 5 out of 5 for me.
I do have an interest in the Monster of the Week. I do like the disgusting body horror. I love that aspect of it. So this one's big up for me. I really enjoyed it. I think you're right. The look of the monster is terrific, and terrific for a TV show. It'd be at home in a movie, and it's a really interesting creature. And what I really like about the episode is how it kept breaking conventions and doing things that I just didn't expect it to do, like they capture the monster halfway through. Everybody gets to see it. Skinner just signs off in the report, everything's fine. It keeps on breaking these little conventions that just made you going, oh, I didn't expect that to happen. But then it's counterpointed with some really stupid decisions, with the guy pulling over the van and climbing in the back of it when it's completely sealed and there's no need to open it. With Mulder jumping in the water at the end. You know, I just those kind of things brought it down. And I'm dithering on what to give this episode. I'm between a 4 and a 4.5. But I think I'm going to edge my bets, go with a 4.
Yeah.
And roll the dice and see if there's better episodes to come this season.
There is.
So there we have it, episode 2 done and dusted. So episode 3 is Blood, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay, Brian.
It is.
Anything interesting to tell us about this episode?
It stars the robot toy maker guy from Blade Runner.
Right, okay.
So that's interesting. But yeah, it's an episode about technology kind of taking over our lives. It's not.
No vampires.
It's not. No vampires. That will come a few episodes down the line. And we'll get to that one. But no, it's an interesting episode. I do think it's one we'll both like. It's not a perfect episode, but I do seem to recall the Lone Gunmen returning for that one. So
that'll be good.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting episode. Yeah.
So join us next episode for Blood. We appreciate your listenership. If you want to get in contact with us, if you look in the show description, there is links to all our social media where you can let us know what you think of the show or what you think about the X-Files that we're watching at the moment. Thanks for listening, and we'll get you next time on the X-Files Revisited.
We'll get you next time. We'll get you next time.